This is my friend Reddoons, and a couple of days ago, he tweeted out saying he wanted to buy a castle. Perpendicular to that tweet happening, King Games had challenged me to make a build within their game, Enshrouded. And since their game is a fantasy RPG, this was a perfect idea for what to build. And so I opened the game, ready to embark on my journey. Oh my... I didn't realize control meant you dive. Sure, there were still some things I'd have to learn, but I didn't want to waste any time. So I got some basic tools and scouted out an area to build the base. Now, the Enshrouded map is insanely big, but after doing a bit of research, I found out there's an abandoned village right over here that's called Woodguard. And from the photos I've seen, it looks like a great place to farm materials and to build our base. So I think we're gonna go ahead and head in that direction. Woodguard. Okay, here we go. All right, now this place is really nice. I just got to figure out a good area to build my base. You know what? I'm thinking that if we could get up to the top of this mountain, I feel like it could be a really cool place to have our build. Now that we found a place to build, we need to know what it's going to look like. So what I did is set up a 3-step plan for how we're going to do that. First step will be researching and designing a concept for the base. Second, we'll gather materials for it. And third, we'll be building it. All right, I think this is perfect. Granted, we might have to flatten this ground a bit because there's not that much room to work with. But this is definitely a good start. If we use this rake, we can just flatten the ground, right? Is that raising it? I don't know what I'm doing. I think the problem is that this is going to take a while to do. Okay, so we finally finished laying out this entire piece of land within our border. Now, since this is a fantasy-based game, I decided I wanted to make my base a castle. And since there was a village that lied beneath it, it felt like a good fit. Now, there are a lot more blocks than I expected. So we're obviously going to have to pick and choose which blocks we'll need. So the first thing I think we need is some sort of stairwell up to the castle. Okay, so I just finished pretty much the entire stairwell, and I think this path looks pretty good. Now it's just a matter of making these stairs. Now, it did take me a lot longer than I thought to build the stairs, but that was mainly due to me not being familiar with the format used for building. But once I understood the controls, it went by a lot faster. Okay, I think that is the entire stairwell done. Okay, you know what? It's not that bad. I did wish it wasn't as windy, but you know what? That's fine. Now I gotta think of what material to use for the entrance. I am thinking something like a fancy stone block could work, because typically castles have a sort of brick or stone like exterior to it. I think I'm going to try this fancy stone block. It definitely looks a lot smoother than the castle one. Okay, actually that looks pretty good. Okay, there we go. That's looking nice. Obviously we'll make it a bit higher. Now I don't know if there's any exact way to do it diagonal, because I'm pretty sure you only could rotate stuff 90 degrees. So I think what we're going to have to do is just use these small blocks here and then kind of diagonally place them, which to be fair does get the job done, so it's not too bad. Okay, so I believe we have completely finished at least the walls of the castle, which is not much, but so far it's actually looking pretty sick. Now, before we build the actual castle, you should make a layout, kind of like a map, so we can see if the spacing of everything is right. Now, I don't know if you could tell, but I did kind of redesign some of the wall features, but we do have our castle layout finished, and it's looking better than I thought. I'll be honest, I just kind of scribbled a bunch of squares and circles on a grid and hoped it looked nice. Next thing we'll go ahead and do is kind of build up the walls a little bit so we get a good idea of how much space there is. All right, now the layout of this castle is getting a bit higher, but honestly, it's looking really good. So we're going to start with these 2 pillars here. So when I was building the pillars, I really wanted it to have a lot of depth and not feel flat and empty. So adding the windows along with the border frame using the palm wood and the material difference really made it stand out. Next thing we'll probably work on is these spires over here on the corners of our castle, and then from there kind of work towards the middle. It is going to be a bit of a pain building this because I do have to do it one at a time. Now, typically, it is a very vibrant block that ends up being the roofs of the castles, like the castles that are at the Disney parks. I think that's a good example of that. Yeah, this red marble is looking a lot better. That's looking really good. This was a very complicated structure to make. Now I just gotta do it 4 more times. Oh my goodness, I could not tell you how long this took. But up next on our list, we're gonna go ahead and do the throne room. Typically, whenever I see a throne room, it's kind of just one big rectangular box. So that was my plan with building it. But for the roofs, there wasn't too much variety on what I could use, so I just ended up using the base roof tiles. Next thing we're gonna go ahead and do is the library. If we were to look on the map here, I basically have it marked off into 4 different sections. The library being the first room to do. Now, for these sections of the castle, I wasn't really going off any reference, more so following a rule of thumb in which the more center and further back back you go, the higher the structure typically gets. All right, that is the back left section done, and my goodness, does this look insanely huge. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the other base parts of the castle because it is 2 a.m. and I want to complete this before I go to bed. Okay, we are making progress. It's getting exhausting. The only sections left are the top and bottom right, which thankfully are actually the smallest ones. Okay, I think we are fully done with the base layout of the castle. I'm nervous. I haven't seen how it looks yet. Oh my goodness, it looks gigantic from here. Dude, this looks insane. Now, I think before we focus on any interior, we need to fix the ground because it's just straight ugly. It's just rocks. So we're definitely going to make this area a lot nicer. Okay, there we go. This is looking a lot nicer. Now, in terms of garden stuff, they didn't have too many options here, so we might have to improvise a little bit. Okay, there we go. This is looking nice. We also have a seed bed. And with those lights placed, I think we're finished with the garden area. I know it's not much, but it does look nice. Again, we don't have that much space for our farm. So what I'm thinking is if we don't have enough room over here, we could just make more room on this section of the castle because honestly, not much is going out here. All right, and then I think the last thing we need to do is add in our well, which, I don't know where to place the well. I don't want to place it in the middle of the path, but also I think I got to place it on one of the farmlands. You know, we can have the well right here. We don't have to have it in the farmland. We can just have it right next to it. All right, I think that's the farm area finished. It's definitely not the most efficient looking farm, but I will say it definitely looks the nicest, so that's what we're going for. With the outside area finished, we can now start working on the interior of our castle, starting with the lower right section where the storage and weaponry will be. And that is our storage room complete. I did end up switching this side of the storage to these magical chests because it basically allows us to craft pretty much anything without actually having to have the items in our inventory. So that makes crafting a lot of stuff way faster. So I had an idea because initially I was going to place a shelf here, but eventually it became the entryway into the armory room. But they do have this thing called a secret bookshelf door. Okay, now that's sick. How do I close it? Well, I couldn't seem to find an armor stand to craft. I ended up just decorating the inside with some bookshelves, bottles, and a chest at the back end of the room. Gonna be honest, it kind of looks like a room where a ritual would take place, but within the lore of this world, I think it fits in perfectly. Now, the castle bedroom doesn't have as much room as I thought it would, but I think we could still make it work. So I'm thinking we'll have the bed against this wall because I want the bathroom to be right here. Alright, now for the bathroom. If we could somehow manage to fit all this stuff in here, we'll have the toilet be right here, and then we'll have the stone sink. We'll have it right there. I think that is our first bedroom tower finished. A little bit smaller than I expected, but hey, you make with what you have. So I think we're gonna go ahead and do the workshop rooms next, which is basically the area on the bottom left. I put so many lights up and it still feels dark. We'll go ahead and put our hand spindle here, and then we'll put our loom right next to it. I think it goes like this. I have not seen one of these in real life. Laundry. Now for laundry, we do need like a, back then they used like a bucket of water, right? Yeah, there wasn't too much stuff for the laundry room area, but this next room is gonna have a lot of stuff packed into it because this is gonna be our alchemy room. By this point, you kind of get the gist of what I'm doing, so we're gonna speed things up a bit. I ended up filling the alchemy room with some workshops and the alchemist, which is this game's version of trading. Next, I went up to the top left section where I filled the floor with some bookshelves and a lot of books. Then went upstairs where the much bigger bathroom would be, fit with the sauna, and with that, completing the top left section of the castle. The only two rooms left now were the dining room and the kitchen, which were fairly easy to complete. That was a mouthful. And with all the other rooms finished, we can finally work on the main room, and that is the throne room. So obviously, we're gonna go and start with the floor and wall. I think we'll have the marble block be the pathway. We have finished all of the room building. We can now start actually working on the decorating. Okay, never mind, I lied. I did a lot of finicking, but the throne room is finished. However, as for the doorway, it doesn't evenly sit on one side. As you can see, it's kind of offset, so we're just gonna leave it open like this. But the castle is finally finished. Oh my goodness, this took so much longer than I thought. I guess the only thing now is to show Reddoons. Hello, Reddoons.
Yo,
I have
you saw my tweet about wanting to buy a $4 million castle in Slovenia.
Yeah. I don't know if this is $4 million. It's, I mean, maybe more.
Tell you what, I'm a big castle connoisseur. I will appraise its value and let you know how much I think it's worth.
Okay. I heard that you needed a castle, right? You were looking around $4 million.
Really like castles.
So we're gonna go ahead.
It's a lot of money, man.
It is a lot of money. We're gonna go ahead and go through the castle tour, and we're gonna see how much you rate it. Fly off this tower here.
Is that the castle?
That's the castle.
Oh my god, it's like a mountain castle and everything.
If you guys couldn't tell already, Enshrouded is an open world MMORPG, where you can play solo like I did or up to 16 players. While I mainly focused on the building aspect of the game, it's full of monsters and tons of places to explore. And I'm super honored King Games gave me this opportunity to build something cool within their game. I ended up showing Reddoons all the rooms, and all that was left was to hear the answer to my question.
See, my one concluding thought is that I'm gonna be real. I think that goes for a bit more than $4 million on the open market. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
You outdid yourself, Poafa.
Thank you. I am a bit of an engineer.
You are?
No.
Oh.
No, I don't. It's